This is the second video for the second PowerPoint talking about allopatric speciation. We just finished talking about the Galapagos Islands and the idea of adaptive radiation. And this kind of wraps it up. So when we talk about how speciation occurs, two populations of organisms are not the same species unless they can interbreed and produce viable, fertile offspring. There are multiple ways that we keep species separate, and we divide the way that we keep species separate, or the way that nature keeps species separate, into two groups: prezygotic and postzygotic barriers. Prezygotic barriers are going to be barriers that occur basically prior to mating. Prior to mating. Postzygotic, if mating does occur, then there is postzygotic barriers that will keep the organism from reproducing. Examples of prezygotic barriers: we're going to see ecogeographic isolation. Two populations have become so specialized for survival in different environments that once the barrier is removed, they can't interbreed again. Basically, the adaptations for survival in the geographic location prevent gene flow. Example are these trees. Habitat isolation. Two species have developed a preference for two different habitats. Even if they become sympatric again and they're in the same area, they will probably not meet and mate. Seasonal isolation. Two species have developed different times of the year to mate. Behavioral isolation. Courtship behaviors have changed during separation, and when they come back together, mating will not occur because the two new species are going to mate in different ways. Prezygotic, also mechanical isolation. There's a physiological or biological structure that prevents mating, aka the parts just don't fit. Also gametic isolation, so my sperm and egg have to have the same number of chromosomes to mate. I cannot mate with something that does not have the same number of chromosomes as me because the offspring will not fertilize and develop. Postzygotic are going to be anything that after mating or like post-mating, we'll see that there are also barriers. So the zygote does form in this case, and then the zygote does not necessarily become viable. If fertilization occurs in developmental isolation, the development of the embryo can be irregular and is spontaneously aborted. Hybrid inviability. Let's say that technically a hybrid is produced and born. It doesn't usually make it to the reproductive age because it is weak or irregular. Hybrid sterility. So let's say that the hybrids do become mating age. We talk about the mule, which is a horse and a donkey, but their offspring themselves are often sterile, and so they cannot produce new offspring. Another postzygotic barrier, selective hybrid elimination or hybrid breakdown, occurs if two species are sympatric and can mate and their offspring can reproduce. We see two of the following things happening. The hybrids are as viable or as fit as the parents, and gene flow will occur, and the two species will become one again. Essentially, it never makes it far enough away from the original species to become a new species. Or if the hybrids are weaker and have lower fitness, they'll eventually be selected against, and we will lose their genetics anyway. Natural selection will select for those individuals that will mate with their own species, and the hybrids will die out. Competition between the two species might cause them to die out as well. This is kind of a summary of the prezygotic barriers and the postzygotic barriers. Feel free to summarize these in your notes if you'd like to.